guys. Welcome to Small Create Big World.
A space for us to chat about anything small creators in this big, big internet world.
I'm Bhav.
And I'm Becky. And what's been going on with you, Bhav, before we dive right into whatever we discuss today?
A whole lot of nothing is what's been going on. So where did we leave this last time? When did we record last time?
I think we recorded about a month ago. So you had maybe like a week or so left?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so update. I'm officially unemployed, I guess is
Fun
the
employed.
update.
Yes.
Fun employed. I'm officially a complete mess is the gist of it. This is the I want to say end of the second week is what I'm probably going to call it. Going into the third week of having no job. It's been really interesting actually because the idea was that I would take at least this month off to do nothing, and I didn't really expect this, but I've really struggled to do nothing. Not the doing nothing though itself, the guilt from doing nothing is what has just hit me. So that's been fun, and that's been something I've contending with. I'm still working on it. I'll be honest, but I think we're getting there. I think that thing that they say so there's this thing where they're like, if you're taking time off from work, you should take at least 2 weeks, like as a block,
as a vacation.
Once a year. Yes. So
okay.
You normally get, and I don't know what this is like around the world, and I know America's pretty bad, but in the UK, you normally get 28, give or take 2 or 3 days, 28 days holiday a year, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Consecutive?
So
No.
No. Just for yours to take throughout the year. I want to say maybe 28's a push, maybe 24, 25.
Okay.
I'm going to call it about 4 weeks of holiday, roughly, in a year. And I think that's maybe, because we also have bank holidays and stuff, but...
that's separate from bank. Okay, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So maybe it's 4 weeks excluding bank holidays. It's there or thereabouts. It's like 20 to 25 days, whatever that is, and that varies. And what you end up is you obviously end up taking maybe a week off or a couple of weeks off separately, or your day or whatever, which makes sense. But I always remember HR back in the day saying that you should actually take 2 weeks off as a block at least once a year. And the reason for that is that it takes you the first week to actually switch off. And then it's only in the second week that your brain actually shuts down and closes all the tabs that are currently open from work and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I really felt that in the last couple of... Sorry, that was a really long-winded way of saying I think I felt that in the last couple of weeks. Of the first week was just the tabs were still open, so to speak, the work tabs. But even though I wasn't doing anything, they were still open. So it just takes time to kind of shut them down, and then you can kind of take a step back, and then you start thinking. And yeah, so it's probably only been in the last... halfway through this week or whatever, that I've gone, oh, okay, now I can start to figure out what the hell is going on. But it's still been hard. Such a first world problem. But no, it's been good. It was definitely the right decision. That's not in question. It's just how I navigate this.
Right.
But yeah, that's what's been new with me.
Oh my God, that's so...
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people fantasize about being in your situation. I've dreamt about it, just being like, oh my God, what if I just took a month off? What's gonna happen? So just hearing that it's not all chilling by the beach. I would think even just taking a vacation is a lot more relaxing than that. Because there's no, I don't know, guilt or anything. Because I'm just you know what? Maybe it's because I'm just closing my tabs halfway. I don't know.
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm probably a slight anomaly, but actually, I was talking to some of the girls this week, and it's similar. It's just, I think it's this weird because obviously in the back of your mind. Okay, so there's probably a couple of factors. One is probably there's a mild little bit of burnout or whatever, or residual, oh, I'm actually completely shutting off from work. There is me being me and struggling to be okay with not doing anything anyways. And then. Yeah, there is this little voice in the back of your head that's what are you going to do to make money? And I'm trying to shut that voice away in a box and lock it up and throw away the key, at least for this month. But yeah, so there's a few things. So I think I also don't think I've done it the best way. Not that I've done it in a bad way. I very much. But one thing I did do at the beginning is I kind of was I knew I wasn't doing any work, but I ended up giving myself personal work. So whether that was stuff to do around the house or whether that was creative projects, I was like, and then I ended up giving myself this massive to-do list, and I was wondering why I was just feeling a bit like blah, and I was like, whoa, take a step back. And I was having a conversation with, I think it was Robin Waite, and actually he told me this really good thing. He was like, right, and I'm glad he told me to do this early. He basically said, it's so simple. He's just like, what do you want to get from this 30 days? Like, what's your end? Like, what's the goal? What's the outcome? And he was just like, just write about it. What do you want? And I literally did the thing. And I was like, actually, the only thing I want to get out of this month is to feel rested. And I was like, shit, why have I got all of these things on my to-do list? And that's just like the dumbest thing ever. I'm not going to feel rested if I do. Because to me, it was just, oh, I'm not working, therefore I will be resting. But I was putting a load of stuff on my plate. So I'm glad I did that. And I was like, okay. And that's given me a little bit of that, I guess, freedom and as guilt-free as probably I'm going to get of just going, May is your do nothing month. Like, just stop.
Nice.
Because I think I really need that. But yeah, so we'll see where I'm at next time, and whether what I don't want to do is obviously end up doing nothing completely. So next month we'll do another check-in, and we'll see if I've got up off my ass or if I'm still saying the same thing.
I mean, doing nothing completely, if you feel rested, would mean you've accomplished your goal of 30 days, which is actually so interesting. I've never thought to have a goal for a rest period like that. That's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And actually, I think if this works, I actually like the idea of like monthly goal setting, which seems really weird, but not like, here are all the things I want to accomplish and here's how it fits into my life plan. Just, you know something? This is all I want from the next 30 days. Because I think 30 days is a really good, like, it's a really good amount of time to get something done. It's a really good, like, even if it's a sprint thing or just like, hey, 30 days, like it's not like this stupid, like even a quarter feels way too long, whereas like a week feels way too short. Like this 30 days of like, cool, what's my actual main aim for this month? It's like, okay, it's to feel rested. And then all roads point to that. And next month it might be to do something cool, like figure something out. Again, I'm not thinking about it this month, but I might see how that goes. So we can check in next month, and I'll tell you if that was rubbish or not.
It's a good thing our podcast is monthly then. It's exactly matches your time frame.
It's like we set it up for me. How selfish. Anyway, Becky, what's going on with you?
Oh my God. I have just been, I don't know, I just feel like I suddenly have this burst of energy and I just want to do like a gazillion different things. So first, I guess I'm editing my book, which my editor has returned to me. I think we might have mentioned this last time, but my editor basically returned the version 2 of the book to me. Version 1 was what I gave him, and then he kind of like restructured it. So I wrote a version 2, which is kind of rubbish. I was feeling really meh about it, but I think it's because I had to like throw away a lot, and it's just that part of editing just always like really, really sucks. But he's managed to put it together, or like add some notes where I feel now a little bit better about it. So I'm slowly going through it. I just rewrote or like added a lot of more back in to like the intro this week, and I think I have like 6 more chapters to go. It's a short book, but it's still annoying to go through. But I'm taking it bit by bit, just so I'm not like slogging through it, because I feel like if I slog through it, it's gonna come off in the writing. So I'm just trying to figure that balance out.
That's very fair. I still think it's so freaking cool that you're writing a book. I just like, it's like, hey, I'm writing a book. It's like, what the hell? It's like phenomenal.
Yeah. I wonder if there was actually like a lighter version that I should have done with this instead of like a full-on book, which is so I'm also experimenting with like an essay series on a completely different topic. It's called because I can't just do one thing.
Which I love. I think it's great. Why should you just do one thing?
That is true. You should just do a gazillion things. I don't know. There's so many things that people always say, like, you should just focus on one thing. That's never worked for me. I'm always just someone who has like a gazillion side projects. So, side project.
Actually, I think that's actually a really, really good point. Is this generic advice just doesn't work?
No, it does not.
Like, we are completely different. We work completely differently. You actually get shit done and I do not. But like, if we took the same advice, like one of us would be screwed. Like there's literally, like, I probably do need to focus on one thing at a time. Whereas like that does not work for you. So I think, yeah, whatever you hear people talk about stuff, it's what's worked for them. And I think that's a really good point to just kind of call out, because everyone works in their own way. It's about figuring out what actually works for you.
That's so true. And I feel like because advice always gets like condensed into this like one phrase or one idiom thing, then you just completely lose all the nuance. Whereas like there's just some things that work in certain situations, things that work in other situations, as is with everything in life, I guess. Uh, but yeah, so I'm experimenting with like an essay series, which I've never done before, surprisingly, after writing like close to 2-ish years on Substack.
Crazy.
So gonna see what happens. This is as close as a niche as I've ever gone. So I'm just gonna see if writing for something, a topic for a few weeks actually works or actually has some sort of like layering effect.
Do we want to talk about it or do we want to hold off?
Oh yeah, we can talk about it. It's already out, and I think by the time this episode is out as well, there will be a few essays. It's called Cheat on Your Job. That's the
Love it.
series. The TLDR is to uh start a side hustle, and this is like there's like I don't know because I used to work in a bank, and the contract was really scary, where they literally say like you cannot have any additional income, you cannot do additional side projects, and I kind of like took it to heart, maybe a little bit too seriously because I was trying to like play by the rules. But then it's like, why not just try and do something on the side? Why not build a side hustle? Why not do um, XYZ? So yeah, now with this new job, I'm like overcompensating and just doing a gazillion other things. That's what I've been up to.
Beautiful. And if you want to read this stuff, we'll link Becky's Substack somewhere in whatever the things are called, the description / show notes. But
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I think it's such a cool freaking concept. And I love the line, cheer on your job.
Thank you.
Nailed it. Nailed it. This is very cool. Okay, cool. Anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
That because that
Yeah.
wasn't enough.
I
Writing a
know that
book,
was
launching a series.
doing this podcast.
Doing yeah. I just yeah. That's okay. I think that's a pretty good list of stuff. Alrighty.
All right, so what are we talking about today? Which
What
this
are
is
we
a topic
talking about?
that's come up a few times in our chat to each other, which is also why we decided to bring this up on the pod.
Yes. And I think it's one of those things that gets flung about a lot, I think, especially for beginners. Which is fundamentally you should be consistent. I think we were saying this as well, like last month, or whenever the bloody hell it was, about how important, because I don't know, all the days merge into one.
Yes,
I'm
very
unemployed,
fair.
okay? I don't know what day of the week it is.
It's fun day.
It's fun. It's nice. It's fun day on fun employment. So yeah, consistency it gets thrown about a lot, and I think our bottom line is it's nuanced. It depends, but I know you have some strong opinions on this, so why
Yeah.
don't you kick us off?
I was gonna say, once you said like it's nuanced and it depends, I was like, that's it. That's the end of the podcast episode. We'll see you
Everybody
guys
leave
next
now.
month. Goodbye.
Oopsies. No.
Oops.
I think. Sorry, guys. Good episode.
And
No,
great
no.
nuance. But yeah,
Let's go
no.
into said nuance.
Yeah, I am very strongly on the camp of it's a volumes game. I think consistency is really important, and I just feel I can totally see this going both ways. But I feel like just being on the internet, you just really don't know what is going to take off and what is not going to take off. It's just so hard to tell, and I feel like this might be even truer for people who create like video content. I think writing there's a little bit more. I always feel like the audience for written content is a little bit more forgiving and is able to hold a lot more context and stuff. So they're able to kind of surface more quality pieces. But with like video, and I hear this a lot from people who create like Instagram Reels consistently or just trying to break into the Reels game or the YouTube game. It's just you just don't know what's gonna take off. You don't know what the algorithm is looking for. You don't know what people are looking for. So like a viable strategy is just to like pump up as much as you can on the internet. And then plus like I think it used to be before where people would get their content feed chronologically. But now it's like people just get fed whatever they want to feed. Like the algorithm is good enough to pull content that they think will interest you. So as a creator, a really good strategy is to just pump up as many content as you can, just to increase the chances of something popping off. So that's one part. Another part is I also think like just be consistent is really good for leveling up, because it's unless you're just showing up every single day slash week slash however whatever the recurring period is you want to do it. It's just so easy for skills to get rusty. So I think there's just such value in always showing up and leveling up. But at the same time, a growth can plateau. And I feel like that's where we start getting into a little bit more nuance there.
But also, it's hard to actually stay consistent. Like to like there's
Yes.
the being consistent in the first place, and then there's someone like you who has stayed consistent, who is then having another problem. So, I think you as someone who can just be consistent, can we just? I think we might have talked about it last time, but can we just tell people how consistent you are with your writing practice? Because I
Yes.
think this is phenomenal.
Yes, I've been creating online for 3 years. The first year I was on YouTube and I was publishing every single week. And then for about half a year after that, I was double dipping. I was weekly on YouTube and then weekly on Substack. And I decided like this is a bit too much. So I just abandoned YouTube. And now I'm weekly on Substack and now I'm sporadic on YouTube. But I feel like as long as I have a weekly practice, I don't mind dipping in and out of either or. But yeah, now Substack has a streak for me, so I don't think I'm ever going to abandon that. It says I'm in the
Uh-huh.
top 1% of like consistent publishers or something like that. It's insane.
Sharp.
So now I can't ever give up. I'm like bound to this platform forever.
That's insane. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is no small achievement. That is very, very cool. Um, okay, yes. So, as someone who struggles to stay consistent for many, many reasons, I'm consistently inconsistent is probably what I would call it.
It's a good one.
How does thank you how does one like okay yeah okay so how did you no so many questions.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
go for it.
How does one become okay? So you are a writer though. Like your background is in
Yes.
journalism.
Yes.
Like you like writing to you is natural and normal. And I think that's actually one of the other things about YouTube perhaps is that YouTube is actually an amalgamation of a lot of skills. Like it's a full production process,
Yep.
right? So with a YouTube video, you need to be able to like
Yeah.
maybe research. You need to be able to write somewhat. You need to be able to film. You need to be able to edit. You need to be able to publish. You need to potentially like be able to repurpose. Obviously, that's a full production line. There are
Yeah.
obviously much simpler ways of doing it, and I'm not suggesting everybody start there. Whereas publishing writing weekly or doing something else individually weekly is different because YouTube is like full on. So I think people who are trying to be YouTubers should give themselves a little bit of grace in that it's not easy, and to publish a video every week is hard. At the same time,
Yeah.
you can make it easier. I'm not saying it's obviously possible. I think that's where lowering the bar comes in
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, okay. So you
Actually, wait, just that on the YouTube
yes.
bit. Did you ever get monetized on YouTube?
Oh, God no.
Okay. Yeah, because I was about to say like it's really hard to get monetized on YouTube because they have that 4,000 hours watch time requirement. And I think it's
Yes.
just really, really hard to hit that if you're just not consistent. It took me like a year and a half or like a year and 3 months to reach that, and I've already lost it because they want 4,000 hours every 365 days.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah,
good
it's
to
very
know.
annoying. So I got monetized and then demonetized, and then now I'm like 1,500 hours away from it again. But it's yeah, it's such a
Okay, so
consistency
everybody go
game.
and watch Becky's videos and just keep them on in the background. Can you just keep them playing?
I mean, the goal is for this channel to get monetized. Let's see.
Okay, yeah, nice. Oh, actually, I totally didn't know that. Although that makes
Yeah.
100% makes sense, and I guess once you're kind of there, you're then making videos. Um, okay, that
Yeah.
yeah,
I think the
fair.
theory
That
is like
sucks.
for people not to abandon the channel. Well, okay. The
Yeah,
theory is like YouTube doesn't want to give out money to people who are not active on the platform, or like they'll find any excuse to not give out money.
yeah,
But I'm guessing if a creator continues and doesn't stop with that consistency, they can basically just keep on growing, and then it becomes sort of like a flywheel
yeah.
on that
Yes,
platform. Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, so as someone who has managed to stay consistent, What are some tips and tricks of staying consistent before we come back to why the hell you should do it?
Yeah. I would say first is like to pick like a frequency that works. Like for me, I'm very much like a weekly person, so I can't like daily is too much, monthly is too long, where I just think like, oh, I'm gonna do it, and then like in the last 2 days, I'm like, oh God, I can't believe I have to do it right now. So for me, I'm a very weekly person, so having a weekly goal is regular enough for me to actually show up and do it because I can just see it in my head. And then second is also to lower the bar, which I know everybody says, but it's just you just gotta work, you just gotta ship regularly. And I feel like if I leave it on for too long, then I just have like a tendency to overthink stuff. So lowering the bar works. And then also figure out ways to like simplify your system and simplify your workflow, which I think this is like the most underrated thing. So there's like things you can do, like for example, instead of editing video on like DaVinci or Final Cut or Premiere, you can just use a software like Riverside and then just trim from there. Like it's free if your stuff is under 2 hours. Like you have a watermark, but if it gets you shipping, then you should just totally do that. What are the other things? Yeah, just try to simplify workflow as much as possible, really.
Yeah, no, I think that makes total sense. I am actually I think the only thing I'm trying to, okay, I'm putting myself in this position because I am someone who struggles to stay consistent. I know we're slightly off topic. We'll come back to quality versus quantity in a second. But as someone who really, really struggles to stay consistent with basically anything, like I don't think that's enough. Like how
Okay.
much of this is yeah, so there's the whole like you need a reason and Simon Sinek's like find your why or start with why, whatever the bloody hell it is. And that's enough to stay consistent. But like there are other ways, right? Like, okay, so for me, accountability is huge.
Okay.
So I think this is where maybe there's that like first set of nuances of like you need to find how you can stay consistent in that practice. Because yeah, like I'm gonna turn up to this every month because you're turning up, right?
Yep.
But I haven't touched
Thank
my own
goodness.
podcast in 2 years. Yeah, could you imagine? You're just on the go. I'm like, Bhav, and I'll be like, what? What are you talking about? I'm just not feeling it. No, I will. I will 100% turn up. But I know what's huge for me is accountability. Whereas, yeah, I can't stay accountable to myself, which I guess is something to work on, but also I guess work with what you can work with.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. What do you mean work with you can work with? Like, as in if there's no accountability further to figure that part out?
Yeah, so like it, whatever your drive, because okay, so I can sit here and be like, I want to be a podcaster, but that's not enough. The like I, and the reason I'm good at working for someone is that there's just like I will turn up. Right, I'm going to turn up day in day out, and if I'm turning up, I'm going to do the thing.
Yeah.
But the second I have to do anything for myself, I'm like, like there's just it's not enough of a drive, and for a lot of people it is. Like for
Yeah.
you. Like that's like cool. I'm gonna do this thing. So I want to do this thing, but I think it's not the same for everybody.
Yeah. That makes sense. I feel like for me, because I publishing like every single week on the internet, like that itself is already like public accountability. Because if I miss, actually, I don't know if anybody's really gonna care, but in my head, like I'm just like, oh, I need to keep meeting that target because it's a public target. It's not like I can shy away from that. But okay, but that doesn't work for you because, like you were saying, your podcast is just
Dead,
dead.
dead. It's very very dead.
But I feel like that's also fine. I don't okay. I don't think like things are meant to last as like a lifetime practice. It could just be a project, and it was a project for like a year or so. Like
Interesting.
that was a decent enough, I think, period for you. Like you had a lot of episodes on that podcast.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Actually, that's okay. Interesting point. I've never thought about it like that. I just feel like a failure because I'm like, oh, I kind of started
No,
this thing
you're
and
not
then
a
stopped.
failure.
I'm such a failure. No, it just. But actually, that's actually such a good point. Is that I've never thought of it of like, hey, that was just a project and that's what I needed at that time, and it kind of served its purpose.
Right. So the podcast at the time served you because you got to meet like all these people and have all these conversations. But I also was wondering, was part of the friction of why you stopped was because you thought the podcast wasn't good enough? And this is just me knowing you for about a month and a half. And I feel like your bar for how good something should be is really, really high. Like it's a lot higher than mine is for sure. So I was just wondering how much of that fed into your podcasting, and maybe it was enough friction for you to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop.
How do you know me so well, so fast? Yeah, that is literally exactly what bloody happened. Yeah, hit the nail on the head there. I was doing really well to begin with because I was like, I don't care about any of this stuff. I'm just going to record. I used to live stream it to begin with, and then I was like,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
cool, now I can. Yeah, because I was like, I don't want the friction. I don't want to edit. I know, like, I just can't deal with it. Let me just live stream it. It is a thing. I don't care who's watching or whatever. I know I'm just putting the reps in.
Yeah.
And then yeah, at some point, I don't know, 20. I'm making these numbers up, but like 20 episodes in, I was like, cool, maybe I can actually. I think Riverside became a thing, so I moved from StreamYard to Riverside, and I was like, oh, actually, I can record this and then like put it out afterwards. I don't need to live stream it, which means I can record whenever. So that was nice. It meant that people didn't have to be live, etc. And then yes, that's exactly what happened. At some point, I had this bright idea that I would edit the intro so that it would be a bit more like interesting. And if you see like a few of the last episodes I published, some of them had like what I would call a half decent intro. They weren't obviously great. They're not groundbreaking things, but like compared to like having nothing, I spent like time editing this little intro about the guests. I did it for like 2 or 3 guests. And then I recorded like because I was doing it in seasons because it was a bit easier for me and just meant I could have a break. So then I recorded like the next season. I have these 9 episodes that I've recorded. But because I didn't just intro I know, oh, dude.
9. So you had like 9 in your backlog that you had to pump out. Oh my God, that's
I have
so
9
much
episodes sitting there that are all good to go. Like the episodes are actually really good. And I talked to some really cool people, and basically because I didn't record the intro like we do now, just super low friction, which is what I was doing to begin with. And I saved it so that I would film an intro. So I'd sit down in front of the camera and be like, hey guys, blah, blah, blah. And I'd write this little intro. And it actually, funnily enough, wasn't the recording of the intro. It was the writing of the intro that stopped me. I'm not a writer.
Wow.
I hate writing stuff. Even like writing a description for a YouTube video, like
Yeah.
which is why you get to do this, which is why this is perfect because you'll do all the things that I don't like.
Yeah. And you'll do all the things that editing that I don't like.
Exactly. I'm like, I am very happy to do all of this. So basically, yeah, that is exactly what happened. And because I'd set the bar high and I was like, oh no, this needs to be a good intro, I've just never gone back to it. But whereas actually, in reality, I could sit down here after we record this and just go and do a generic Creators Campfire introduction and just go, or just like a one-liner for each of those 9 episodes and be like, hey guys, here's what I was talking to. This was recorded X. And I could basically have those episodes out. But because I set the bar so high,
Yeah.
I just didn't go back to it. So yeah.
Okay, but how important is quality? Because it's so easy to create now. There's just AI created stuff everywhere. AI can like, I've seen creators like Nicole and Cole and Dickie Bush. Sorry, not Nicole.
Oh, Nicole.
Nicholas.
You're-
Nicholas is his name. But like they put up like shorts out there where they literally like augment their AI face because they want to do shorts without like enough. And it's just too much friction for them to like turn on like the lights and set up the camera, blah blah blah. So they like resorted to AI and stuff. So basically the bar for creating now is like really low because it's so easy to create everything. So is quality becoming more important? Yeah. Floor's
Yeah.
yours.
So yeah. Okay. Asking all the important questions. So and given that this was,
Yeah,
so it
oh my
wasn't
God.
Christmas it was just like, it wasn't Christmas just gone. It was the Christmas before that I edited it. Like I recorded all these. I was done with my like 9 episodes. Had I just lowered the goddamn bar and put those episodes out and kept going in that 18 months or whatever it was, I can assure you I would have been like nailing that stuff like right now, right? 18 months of recording a podcast. I could have been I could have like either just kept the intros really simple because it's a podcast and who actually cares? And let's be honest, not many people watching. But I would have been a better person having gone through that process. I would have met more cool people doing it. I would have had fun. And I've given up something that I actually really enjoyed because I've decided to set the stupid bar too high. And every time I want to go back into it, I'm like, oh, but I've got 9 episodes sitting there. So I can't just start from scratch. So I can't now start fresh. So in this instance, consistency would have been so much better. So quantity over quality, 100%, because the quality would have come over time naturally. If I look at my 50th episode compared to my first episode, it already improved massively by me basically not doing anything. I could have been on my 100th episode and it would have naturally got better, but I decided to set the bar too high. And I think this is where early on enough, you don't need to worry. You don't actually need to focus on quality. Like it will naturally, you will naturally be a better person. If I'd not optimized for anything, I would have naturally been a better podcaster, but by virtue of turning up, right?
Yes.
Like you are a better writer just because you've turned up every week for 3 years. Had you not optimized anything,
Yeah, that's true. I do feel very strongly about that, about how
is that true? Because do you need to? Because there's the whole like you could, it's like typing, right?
Yeah.
So keyboard type, like we do it every single day. My speed hasn't actually necessarily improved because I'm typing the same. I've probably been stagnant at the same typing speed for ages. So I'm doing it every day. So I'm being consistent, but there's actually no. So maybe I take back very slightly what I've said.
Yeah.
But I think there is, once you do those things, there is a natural tendency to get better because you're consciously doing it, if that makes sense. So me turning up, I would have naturally got better just because I would have noticed things. Whereas I guess typing is a bit of an unconscious thing now.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a natural like increase in quality / craft expertise. Just being able to get better at something through the reps. But I also do feel at a certain point it does plateau because at a certain point what was hard became like really easy. And then and this is also why I actually decided to stop my YouTube channel uploads. It's because it became like so formulaic that I was focusing so much on churning out the content week after week, and I had like no time to step back and be like, what could actually make my video go better? Because I was just too squeezed for time. And that's when I thought like, okay, maybe having like 1 weekly thing instead of 2 would have been better. But had I sort of had that end goal of I want to make a video like XYZ, or be able to kind of like revisit that quality benchmark, maybe every couple of months, maybe it would have been different. Maybe I would have been like, oh, actually, you know what? There's like a clear goal. I know where to go, what to improve on. I was like, oh, I just need better like lighting. I need better storytelling, and like sort of like pick the lane on what to improve on. Then maybe that would have been different. But it's just always such a battle. Like I feel like you're always getting pulled in one direction where you just you need to put in the reps, but then at some point you're like, you don't need you need to put in like just do heavier weight stuff. And I feel like as creators we're always kind of like teetering between the two, and we're just never happy because we're happy for like 2 seconds, and then we just start getting frustrated about our creations all over again.
But actually, I think that's a really good point, is that stopping that time to reflect. And I guess depending on the kind of person you are, there's ways to do it, right? So you could either churn out a video every week nonstop for like almost do it in sprints, whether that's like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever that looks like, a quarter, and then take a step back and go like, I'm going to reevaluate. Or you could actually say, I'm going to record a video and put it out once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but you're still staying consistent. Right. So consistency on YouTube isn't a video a week if that's what's going to kill you. And I think that's the important thing of knowing how you work best and how you could improve. So for me, podcasting once a week probably was fine because it's nowhere near as a heavy lift as YouTube. And I could have probably still picked up on some of these small things. And had I wanted to work on like intros and stuff, maybe I could have pushed it out to once every 2 weeks, but I could have adjusted. And I think one thing I also struggle with while I'm talking all over the place is knowing that once you set that cadence, it's not set for life. So again, I will make these changes and I'll be like, that's it for life. But actually I could have gone through a period of like, I'll be like, oh, for the next few months, I'm gonna move to once every 2 weeks just while I figure this out, and then I can move back to once a week. Like it really doesn't matter, and I get caught up in this. It's just going to be 1 week forever or 2 weeks. I don't want to move it for 2 weeks. Like that flexibility is so important. Forgot why I started that point, but yeah.
No, on that note though, I feel like it's so important to, at least for me, the kind of person that I am, I wouldn't be able to stop something completely. I would be very comfortable with shifting something from every week to every 2 weeks or like every month. But if I were to stop completely, I'm just never gonna pick up that project ever again. Because I think just like the momentum has stopped, not slowed, and then that is like enough to kill my like whatever initial excitement I had about that thing. Whereas I feel like being consistent, well, this I guess is what everyone always says about being consistent. Like the hardest part is when you're not excited about it, and then you keep pushing through, and then eventually it'll like the excitement will pick back up. But like pushing through that like down period, which comes again and again and again, is always really hard. So, but
That's a very good
yeah,
point. How many times has that happened to you? Because like writing for 3 years, you must have kind of felt that.
yeah, every Tuesday night before I hit publish, just being like, oh my
Okay.
goodness, I just have to keep doing it. Okay, no, I guess okay, maybe not every week, but it does happen a lot more than I expected.
Interesting.
Even though it's a much easier lift than publishing the first few ones, right? Like right now, I would be happy to publish something that like for context, when I was publishing, I think in my first year and a half, every single draft I wrote would go through like 5 edits, like 5 rounds of edits. Like whatever I published would be draft number 5 because I was just that serious about it. And it was only like in the last couple of months that I was like, you know what? Number two or number three is what people would get. So I've only recently just started scaling it down and limiting my like before I would also go to like a bunch of people and asking people for like feedback and such, and I would try to incorporate their feedback. But I think I just reached a point where I decided I wanted to do other things apart from just writing. And so I knew I had to cut back some parts of the writing process, and that included like the editing and like even like maybe even lowering the quality bar a little bit. But I was willing to sacrifice that as long as I still kept to the weekly writing consistency. It's the way I see also consistency in like publishing every single week. It's like showing up to a bar or like a cafe every single week because I am really, really bad at commenting on other people's Substacks, even though I read it sometimes here and there, but it's just not something natural that I'm inclined to do. And you probably noticed, but I'm also a little bit bad at like social media where I don't always like pop up. I don't always watch all the memes that all my friends send me, and including
You mean you're not watching every single meme that like you get from me? That's actually really rude.
I
Ouch.
will neither confirm nor deny.
That
That like
hurts.
I'm just really this is just not something that I'm good at, and I've tried being good at it, but it's just not something it's just not something natural for me to do. So for me, like actually like publishing every single week, this is a more natural way for me to show up. And then so I also see it as like, oh, this is me showing up every single week and just kind of like reminding people that I exist. And some
Yeah.
people do that really well by commenting on other people's Substacks, which it's actually really amazing. I'm so amazed at people who are like really good supporters in that way. And I kind of know that I'm not. And I think at some point I just stopped trying to fight my natural tendencies and just be like, you know what, if this is the kind of person I am, then I'm just gonna do what feels easy for me, which is like to write every
Yes.
single
Because you're
week.
still reading other people's things. Like the alternative is that you're like, I'm not even going to read it because I'm not going to leave a comment. Like it's fine, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I think most people don't. Actually, sorry, earlier you said you had this really good point so you almost set the bar high, but I think that the difference in the high bar to begin with. Okay, sorry. So when you were like, "Hey, I'm gonna end it. I know that it's gonna end up being like the version 5 of this. This is going out. Like I'm
Mm.
taking this seriously." Um, that's actually a very good point. So I think I am also the person that has to almost be like, I need to do everything 100% to begin with,
Mm.
so that I could get into that routine. Now, I think there is a difference between being serious and having a high bar, if that makes sense. So there is, hey, I'm going to turn up, and I'm absolutely going to turn up, and I'm going to do the thing without fail regardless of the quality. And I know that's not quite what you were doing, because obviously, like 5 versions, you were tweaking quality. But I think the point is you're taking it seriously. This is such a lame example, but I remember, so I have never really drank a lot of water, if at all, like in the to the point where I could probably go days without drinking. And I always used to I'd always used to have blackcurrant, way back. I'm such a child. But one day I was like, no, I'm going to start drinking water. And this is going to be a thing, and it's just going to be normal water, and that's just going to be my go-to. And the only way that happened, and that habit has stuck to this day, so we're talking, like 15 years or whatever that is.
Wow.
The only way I got to doing that habit is by forcing myself and going, right, these are the rules, and I had to be very strict with myself. And that was a case of, and I suppose I did build it up over a week. I didn't just start drinking a crap load of water. Not that I drink a crap load of water now, but for me it was a lot. But it was a very firm, like, I'm buying a water bottle. These are all basic things, but I'm keeping it with me at all times. It's the only thing I'm going to drink out of, so I can monitor how much I'm drinking it. And I will absolutely down 1 bottle every single morning without fail, to the point where people were like, you don't need to be, and water bottles are a way bigger thing now than when I was doing this 15 years ago. They're like, why are you just carrying that thing with you, you absolute weirdo? I'm like, no, but I need to track it for myself. I need to be serious about it. And, for 3 months or whatever that was, I was just like, no, I'm doing this thing without fail. And then you can kind of start to let it go, because it's a bit more, and then you can start giving yourself a bit of like leeway. And then I'm a fan of the whole 80% of the time kind of rule. But I have found that I do need to maybe start a little bit more strict, so I can, not in all cases, but sometimes on the things that are harder. So like exercise isn't so, I'm not really an exerciser, but like it's not a heavy lift for me, so to speak. Like I can dip in and out of it a little bit more. So I know that I don't need to be as strict with that, but like the things that I'm like, oh, I really want to do this thing, but I almost have to force myself. I need to be a lot stricter. And that's where the consistency is really, really important to begin with.
I am curious. Okay, so because you have been sort of involved in this program that encourages people how to succeed on YouTube, or Part-Time YouTuber Academy, basically.
That sounded like I was part of like a cult, or like I was part of this like weird pyramid scheme.
Is
like,
it not?
You've been involved in this like non-ethical thing where you're teaching people things you shouldn't be.
Is it not a cult?
Yeah. Well, that's an episode, but no.
But okay, does consistency matter there for the success stories that come out of that program?
Is such a good point. Actually, you're asking all the right questions today, Becky. I love it. Okay, this is where I can absolutely guarantee the people that have stayed consistent have gone on to do something. And that doesn't mean their channels have blown up, but by virtue of doing the things, their lives have got better, right? They have seen the reward. Things have come from doing the thing. And there are so many of our students, and given, I still say our, but like there are so many of our students, and we've had like, I don't know, probably over 5,000 now, but
insane.
Back in the day. I know, it's just bonkers. But the amount of people that will sign up to a course and not come, or come and do the work but not publish, or just like, or start and then like fall off the wagon. And it's crazy. And don't get me wrong, I am one of those people. I remember starting back in January 2021 or something. I did a good 6 months of turning up. And then I was like, but my decision was after putting in the work and deciding it was too much. So I know that I actually gave it I didn't give it my all. Well, for 6 months or however long it was, I gave it my all. And then I know that I made a educated decision at that point that it was probably too much, and that I may or may not revisit it one day, because it wasn't like, YouTube isn't the dream of mine necessarily. Like the space is, the creative world is, but YouTube specifically isn't. And so, yeah, the people who turned up, and it didn't have to be every week, but the people who were consistent, and I wouldn't go beyond like once a month though. I think that once a week to once a month cadence is probably about right. But to begin with, I think to get over the fear and to actually start doing something, just doing the thing and turning up every week with a really low bar is actually really important. And again, not everybody falls under that bucket, because there are what I call serious beginners, and there are just beginners. And I think the beginners just need to do and not worry about anything, like at all. Just like almost grab your phone, record a video and hit upload. Like don't overcomplicate the process, and then include get like in words, get better, like pick one thing to improve every single week. So like
Yeah.
more serious beginners could have a little bit more leeway and can have that bar slightly higher because they are serious enough that they will turn up. And if they don't publish this week, they'll publish the week after, but they will publish. It's not like they're going to, oh, I'm not going to do it. And then it just becomes a thing. I think there is also a slight difference there of just like, and people do it for different reasons. So sorry, the gist of that was actually at that point, consistency does matter because you do need to turn up. And the people that have turned up have reaped the rewards of turning up.
Yeah. When you say they reap the rewards, how long does it
Yes.
take?
Nah.
Because
Okay.
yeah, just because okay, right.
Yeah.
The hard thing about consistency is we mentioned earlier the dip and pushing through when it's not as exciting
Yes.
or not as fun. That's really hard. But the second
Yeah.
is just it just takes so long to
Yeah.
reap the reward. So you've seen the
Yeah.
course grow for about like 4 years.
Yeah.
How do you have like a sense of how long it usually takes for people to reap the rewards?
Sneaky question. Becky, I'm going to throw this back at you. How long have you, what's your journey been like? You've been writing for like 3 years. When
Yeah.
did you start to reap the rewards?
Am I reaping the rewards yet? I don't
Yes,
even
yes,
know.
yes, you are. You are absolutely reaping the rewards. Okay, no, hang on. This is a good point. I think people think of rewards. Okay, let's define rewards because
Yes.
I love how we're both waving pens at the camera right now.
So you need Jetstream for all the pen nerds out there. It's a
I
great
did
pen.
think it was not okay. I've got mine here. Let me pick this one up. I love a pen nerd. Okay,
Yes.
I had my pastel my old line here that I was
A
waving.
0.7 though,
But-
to Bob's dismay.
Oh yeah, no, that's no. Oh, Becky, you have let me down. No, nothing above a 0.5. I'm sorry. That is unacceptable. But this, yes, agreed. This is a dream of a pen, guys. Absolute dream of a pen. Everyone should go and get one. Right, sorry, I digress. We'll stop waving pens at the camera and stop nerding out on stationery. But just a second. What the hell? Okay, yes, rewards.
Rewards.
We should define rewards because, and this is something Ali Abdal always said. Is his line was, and actually I do stand by this. His line was always post one video every week for 2 years, and your life will change. He did not say you will blow up on YouTube. He will not say you will become the biggest creator. He said your life will change. And this has been true for PTYAs. But sorry, my point was reward. Reward is not necessarily I am going to have the biggest channel. I'm going to be the most well-known person. So yeah, okay, Becky, you might be like, what do you mean? What rewards? Like you still have thousands of followers across your platform. So let's not like underestimate things. But I don't know what you would class as a reward.
Yeah.
But go on.
Yeah, no, you're throwing it right back at me. So yes, in terms of subscribers and such, I did not blow up in any single platform. At least I don't think. But how my life did change was I did get this job because I was consistently creating online, which meant that I had the necessary skills. And I was also skills being like I know what goes into making a YouTube video roughly, though in much less production effort versus like what it takes to what goes into a video of like Ali Abdal's caliber. But I know sort of like the process that it takes to shape a new idea every single week, and that's through both YouTube and writing. I got to know people in the creator space, which I know on the internet seems big, but I think once you go into like a little bit of a niche, which I think our niche is like productivity, self-development, personal knowledge management, second braining, all of that, it's actually a lot smaller than you think. I feel like between you and I, Bhav, we know a lot of similar people, and we like ran in like
Yep.
different circles, but we just have
Yes.
like a little bit of an overlap of our niche. So skills, exposure / network, and then just also like knowing that this opportunity existed. So yes, in the sense of reward from that end, it did pay off, but that didn't come until like after like the end of the 3-year period, which is I think it was
Okay.
insane to for me to still be doing that for so long and still have like what am I doing this for like 3 years and just still kept going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Out of interest, how like so you have written a lot about personal stuff as well. So
Yes.
how much of that did you like what were the rewards from you just writing
Mm,
like personally as well, right? Like did it
yeah.
help you in those ways? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be an external thing.
Yeah. So this is something that because I started write a passage like pre ChatGPT. So uh or like I think ChatGPT maybe just started, but it wasn't that good yet when it first got released. Um but the interesting part about me writing about personal stories is now personal stories suddenly became like super big because now everybody's doing AI writing and everybody's trying to lead into like the personal storytelling and like what your unique voice and all of that. And I couldn't have gotten to this point of writing and sharing my story had I not done the work 3 years prior, trying to figure out what my story is. What is it about me that's different from what's like my unique edge that would make my content sort of like be different from other people that no other person could make that same video or write that same story that I did. Um, Sorry, what was the question? Personal story. Okay, personal story. Yes. And then it just also so happens that I started writing every single week on Substack in tandem with therapy. So I think there was a little bit of like a like sort of two like a virtuous cycle thing that was going on because therapy was forcing me to reflect, which also like surfaced a lot of like childhood memories that I've forgotten. And then I was learning to write about it, which also helped me process a lot of those events. And then so I would go back to therapy and then be like, oh, actually I remember like this being XYZ. So it was like a here and there, but as in like it just kept sort of boosting each other. And that's also partially why I stuck with writing for so long because I felt like, okay, even though my subscriber numbers aren't growing, but I felt like, yeah, like what Ali said, like your life will change. I felt like I was a completely different person compared to before I started writing, just because I had gone through so much personal growth. And I think this is like, it's really unique to creating. Like, I don't know if this is a transformation that you could go through with like other forms of consistency. And I'm just throwing something random out here, but I would imagine home renovation. I don't know if you can go through that same personal development
Yeah.
transformation if you're doing like AC repairs for 2 years. Like you could really be really good at it, but like I don't know if your life will change by. Actually, I have no idea. Your life might very well change, but yeah, I guess what I try to say is like by yeah, creating is it's very unique in that way where consistency will pay off even though it may not pay off in like numbers.
Yes. Yes. I think this is the exact thing. And had you not done that for 3 years, to your point, like you wouldn't be in this position today. So you needed that backlog, but you're
Yeah.
also ready for the position you are in now. So it's not like, hey, it was just I'd only been doing this for 6 months and now I've got it, and it's like, oh shit, I'm out of my depth or whatever. Like I think you're also right on the personal growth thing. I think
Mm,
that is huge. I think that's the other thing about YouTube is the skills you learn and the growth that you go through as a human. From especially if you're like scared of being on camera.
yeah.
Like I look back to when I left corporate and I refused to actually when I started corporate I refused to even answer the phone. But
Oh
when I left
wow.
corporate, to be fair, I began answering the phone, but I refused to show my face on a video call.
Mm,
And then skip to now, and I couldn't care less. It's like
yeah.
it's not a thing, and that has come about through that, and I'm like way more comfortable. And yeah, I also got this job that I've now left, because of putting myself out there, and I guess I suppose in that sense, I was a lot. I was going to say luckier, but I don't think that's true. It was just a shorter time period.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think that necessarily means I was lucky or whatever. Like it was just a shorter time period between me putting content out and something. Well, basically my whole life changing for the better.
Mm,
But yeah, I think putting yourself out there and doing things and doing the hard things is worth it. And I do think you do absolutely have to lower the quality bar in order to do that and put stuff out consistently.
yeah. So the conclusion of today's chat is that because this is really important and quality will come over time, but quality interventions could help by reflecting, by taking courses, but not stopping and just keep going. So as long as that creative project serves you.
Yes. But actually, sorry, the one last thing is that pushing through the dip thing, and there is. So you made the decision to stop YouTube. I made the decision to stop YouTube. I feel like we both made those educated decisions versus just not turning up or just feeling a bit like blah.
That's true. Yeah, I wonder if you felt this, but I felt like some sort of obligation to YouTube for a while. So it did take me, and I guess I'm also in a position where I wasn't deriving any income from YouTube, so it wasn't as consequential for me to take a step back. But it was like a decision that I thought out for a while. Like I didn't just think about it and I was like, not gonna show up. But I like mulled about it for weeks before I was like, you know what? I think once I've cleared my like I always have like a pipeline of like ideas or videos that need to be edited and stuff, especially because YouTube videos are really hard to turn around in a week. So I always like
Yep.
batch film and stuff. But yeah, I after a few weeks I was like thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I think after my backlog is done, I'm just gonna stop and just see if I ever feel the interest to get back into it. And I wonder if you felt the same and that's why you stopped because you were saying you didn't just not turn up.
Yes, yeah. I think I burnt myself out because I was working full time, but I was probably working way more than full time. So I was putting a shit ton of hours in there, and then I was trying to do the YouTube thing on top. And then, kind of similar to the podcast, I'd started to set the bar higher and higher for my YouTube videos. And therefore, this amalgamation, like I was going to bed late, I was just feeling like blah.
Yeah.
And I went into it going, no, I'm going to make a video a week. And again, looking back, there were things I could have done to lower the bar to have kept going. And part of me wishes maybe I had. But that's okay. It's not like I was doing nothing. But yeah, every time I look back, I'm like, oh, I wish I had done X. And I know because of doing that I just need to stick with something for long
Yeah.
enough to actually know. And I suppose to be honest, 6 months is a for me at least is a decent chunk. At least I know I gave it like a full effort. It's not like I turned up for like 3 weeks and sacked it off. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't quit after 3 weeks if you absolutely hate it. Like there needs to be something in the process that you enjoy. Because like it was never for money or anything like that. And so yeah, and not that I think you should go into YouTube for money. I think that's a bad way to go in. But yeah, I think if you want to do something, you do need to commit. And then the questions you should be asking is, what's the lowest lift to get this up and running? And a bonus is, how do I make this fun, right? How am I going to turn up every week or every 2 weeks? But yeah, I remember when we were talking about this podcast, and as soon as you said let's do a podcast, I was like, oh, weekly podcast. I was like cool. But then you were like once a month, and I was like, oh my God. I didn't even think that was an option.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible. That's the perfect cadence because it lets things marinate. If like we can't do something it doesn't matter. Like we have like a monthly podcast is like a no-brainer. How has this never crossed my mind? But I default to once a week, and I think by doing so,
It's a lot.
I stop a lot of things. It is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's yeah, no, anyway, like when you said that, I was like, oh my God, she's a bloody genius. Like how like duh.
Yeah.
There are some things I wish I could do weekly, like a weekly reflection though. That's something that I know. But fundamentally it's like, yeah, how do you lower the bar? And then for me, yeah, accountability is obviously huge. So
Yeah. On that note, so I'll just keep you accountable every time you fling a new project idea at me, which is like once every 2 days.
yeah. You're right. Yeah, no, I am very bad. It's hard, but okay. Final point, I will shut up. Is I also do this thing, and I don't know if anyone listening also does this thing, but I'll get too many ideas, and I want to when I get excited about everything all at once. It's not like I get excited about one idea, because then all of a sudden, like, my brain is free and I'm like, oh my God, there's like 10 things I could do. Let me do all of them. Like when we're talking about podcasts, I already had 4 podcast ideas in my head, and I was like, this is going to be the end of it. Yeah. Just stop. For the love of God, stop. So it's also about, okay, picking the one thing. And I guess that goes back to my very first point of like the focus for the next 30 days is X. And the bar should be low. The bar should be the lowest you can physically have. The bar should be on the ground, guys.
Yeah.
And then you can lift the bar an inch like every month, every quarter.
Yes. The bar should
think
be
that's-
so low. And then I feel like I just wanted to add to that just imagine the process first of like trying to create this thing from start to finish, and then figure out how you can cut corners on that process as much as possible.
Yes.
You could get better and do like fancy transitions and whatever once you've published like 10 videos, but just cut
Yes.
as many corners as you can in that first, like at least the first 10 reps. I feel
Yes.
like that has tripped me up before. So now I'm just trying to always cut corners in the first few and be like, you know what, it's gonna suck. I'll like give yourself like a quota of like, okay, I don't even know. I just always give myself permission, like, you know, whatever 10 uploads or 10 posts or whatever in this like new format, it's gonna suck, but I just have
Yep.
to ship it anyway. Um,
Yep.
it's like me building a bunch of like apps, taking like a vibe coding course. I think it's what kids call it. Um, and it's just really, really janky looking websites. But I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna share this in like the circle show and tell anyway, even though nobody asked me to. Because I'm like, yeah, I just need to get stuff going and just get in some reps to figure out what are the quirks of coding are. And obviously, I have no experience there at all, so I'm still gonna be rubbish for like a good while. But I just refuse to let that stop me.
Yeah, I think everybody listening, all three of you, could take
Hi,
yeah. Hi, thank you
text
for
us.
turning up. Yeah. Really appreciate it. Jesus. No, but seriously, like I think that like people could learn so much from you because I am personally just genuinely in awe. Like you will get an idea and you'll be like, cool, I'm gonna do this thing, and then you'll just do the thing. And like that actually genuinely blows my mind. I'll get an idea and then I'm all about on it for like a week or two, and
Mm.
then by that time, like all the motivation dies, and just can't be bothered. Whereas you're just like, cool, I'm doing the thing. I did the thing. Here's what I learned from the thing, and you're actually really good at reflecting on it as well, and then building on it.
Mm.
And yeah, I think basically I'm just super jealous. Is basically
Oh
all I was trying
no.
to say there.
Okay, but you
Yeah.
say this, but like this literally happened to be like yesterday, where I had an idea for like a course because I was looking at like
This is not the only example, Becky.
okay, one of the many, many examples. Yeah, I was looking at
Uh-huh.
like writing and like writing with AI, and I was like, oh, there's no like writing school that I can recommend people to anymore since Rite of Passage closed, and I was thinking what from every, and then the everyone closed. Um, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to like share these things, and I wrote it on a bullet point, and I was like, oh my goodness, this looks like a curriculum. And then I just started going down like a rabbit hole of like, oh my goodness, where do I host this course? Like, what platform do I go for? What is even the pricing? But I think what really got me out of that loop was I talked to you, Bhav, and then you were like, why are
Shut
we
up.
thinking about pricing right now? Can you just make the course first? And then that I think also talking to people really helped because they just are able
Yes.
to just knock some sense into you. So had
Yeah.
I not have the courage to share that idea, and I don't know if this is also another thing about people being like super precious about their ideas, which I see a lot in like beginner creators, where people are like so guarded about their ideas. And then what happens is they become boxed by their idea and the problems that come with it, instead of just sharing it to other people and having other people give their 2 cents. Um,
That's actually a very, very, very good point because yeah, I think it's hard for like the creative community is hard because it's not
yeah.
like the people around you 99% of the time are going to be like creators, and then you
Yeah.
kind of have to find these people, and it's hard. But yeah, you're right. I think there is a guard around people, which there shouldn't be, because actually everybody in this community just wants to help everybody else, and I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things I love about it. So yeah, share your ideas, because that's what you would like, the whole rite of passage thing, that you were meeting every week or whatever, and you were like all helping each other, and I think that's like an incredible thing to have, this little community going on. So if you are listening and you maybe do want to find other people, let us know. We will do something about it,
Oh, yeah.
because
Because we can.
it's a thing, because because we can.
No,
So
I don't promise.
um
But we can help.
all right, I like the confidence. Like,
Because we
all
can.
right, I guess Becky can. um,
Well, Bob's the one who promised.
Okay. Good. The confidence that came from you, I'm like, all right, Becky's got it under control, guys. But no, it is definitely a thing. It is definitely lonely, and I, for one, have benefited a lot by having people around me that kind of build you up and tell you to do the things.
Agree.
So yeah. So in summary, be consistent, but you choose your consistency and you choose how to do it, but keep the bar
On the ground.
very, very on the ground. Keep the bar on the ground, but ship stuff.
Yeah.
Ship stuff. Reach out to us if you're listening. Because we'd like to know if there is genuinely more than 3 of you listening that we haven't forced to listen to our episodes.
Yes. And if there's also any topics that you would like to be discussed about, that you absolutely need our very expert opinions on, please also let us know, and we will yap regardless. So we might as well yap to your interests.
It's a very good point. And if we can figure out the Q&A thing, which we might have said last time, we will turn it on somewhere. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello. We
Hi.
just drop stuff down there in the comments. And then if you're listening, I guess on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can leave comments and stuff. If that's a thing. Hopefully that's a thing. If it's not, I'm sorry.
At the very least, we will have our socials down below
Yes.
in show notes / description. So you can definitely reach us there because we are both very chronically online.
Yeah. Oopsies. Okay. Nice. Any parting words, Becky?
No, just show up. Do low lift, cut corners. Don't forget to cut corners.
Cut corners, yes.
And I can't wait
I'm
to
learning
see
a lot
you.
about you. Cheating on your job, cutting corners.
That's how I've
questioning
gotten so far in life.
yeah,
I don't know
okay.
how much longer I can keep this up. And hopefully, if we can keep the bar very low, we'll show up again next month.
Exactly. Can you not tell the bar is very low for us? Is that not obvious? Alrighty, team. We'll leave it there, and I will see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.